There we go.
Dr. Stedman, have you gotten your list of CC1
No,
candidates?
and I thought they were coming today, but they did
Yeah.
not.
Okay, I was just checking on that. I didn't get mine either.
I didn't. I checked late this afternoon, and they had not come. So um, I would assume maybe they'll come tonight or tomorrow. And again, if there's students still registering, that may be the holdup right there. So I don't know.
Okay.
Dr. Revis, I think we're at 7 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm excited. It looks like a good group that has checked in with us already, and I saw several of your faces last night during the town hall session. But welcome again to the MELS add-on licensure program for Gardner-Webb University, and we are just tickled pink that you have chosen Gardner-Webb to assist you with this next endeavor in your educational journey. And Dr. Revis and I are just elated that we are the ones that are going to be able to help you get started. So I'm Dr. Danny Stedman. Introduced myself last night. Been with the program for approximately about 8 years. I'm a retired educator. Been a classroom teacher, assistant principal at an elementary school for 8 years, a principal at a middle school for 2 years, a principal at a high school for 6 years. I was at the central office as an assistant superintendent for 8 years. Have worked in higher education, just done lots of stuff. Now, don't say he's old. I started very, very young, so let's just go ahead and say that. But anyway, no, have a lot of experience, and I hope that that the experiences that I have been blessed with, I hope that I will be able to share that expertise and hopefully the wisdom that I've gained over the years with you to equip you in 601 so that you'll be prepared for your next class and for when you move on to become school administrators yourself. Dr. Revis, I'm going to give it to you at this time.
Good evening, and my name is Dr. Kathy Revis, and I've had a very similar background to Dr. Stedman. I've been an elementary principal, a high school principal. I was assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction in my school district for 18 years, and then 4 years ago now. And then I went to work for our local Head Start NC Pre-K program. And boy, that is a different world. I learned a lot and I'm glad I've had that opportunity. And I've been teaching for Gardner-Webb for about 10 years now. And I teach in the MELS program, this program. I've branched out a little bit this semester and am working with a student teacher. So that's going to be interesting and fun for me to get to know that program as well. But I'm really excited about being with you. I love to teach. I was born a teacher and I'll die a teacher. And I think one thing that I would encourage you to do, we're going to ask you to change hats here in this program, but don't ever forget what it's like to be a teacher. When you become an administrator, that will be invaluable to you if you keep that perspective always in your mind, the perspective as from a teacher's perspective. Most recently, I think I had a senior moment, and I put my name in to file for a school board candidate in our local community. And so I did win the election, and now I'm embarking on yet another thing. But I'm an educator, and it gets in your blood, and that's just the way it is. So one of the things, and I echo what Dr. Stedman said, one of the things that we hope you do is we want to share our educational experiences with you. Now, this course is a compacted course because it's an add-on, and we go really, really fast. You can do it. Others do it every semester, but I know you're going to get overwhelmed in the first 3 weeks. Just make yourself a promise right here and right now. You're going to hang with it for 4 weeks. If you'll hang with it for 4 weeks, you will be fine. I promise you.
And I
So,
promise you too.
well, that said, we're here to help and support you. There's nothing that is more rewarding to me than to see you be successful. So, you may have to call and I may have to talk you off a ledge, and that's okay. We will come off that ledge together.
And we don't charge you any extra for that either.
We know how it is. It's
Yeah.
it's a very fast-paced program. One of the things I love about the Gardner Webb program is that we don't just give you busy work. The projects and the evidences that you are going to be doing in this program are actual things that you will do as an administrator. They're very authentic. And what makes it a little difficult is we're in online learning now, but we've worked around that and have been working with that now for 10 months, and we'll coach you through all the obstacles. So with that said, Dr. Stedman, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Okay, and Dr. Revis didn't mention this, and and we're not tooting our horns. We just want you to know that we do have a lot to share. Both of us also are trustees with our local community colleges and have been doing that for some time as well. So we have that experience as well, working with the community college level. Dr. Revis said something, and you'll find I am a hat man, partly because my head stays cold. I'm bald-headed, and it does help. But I'm just a hat man by trade. But she said something, so I want to use this analogy with you right now, and I want you to just to literally pretend that what I've got on is a teacher's hat. Okay? Right now, and most of you are teachers. There are a few that are already maybe practicing administrators, but most of you are teachers, or you're not in an administrative role yet. Right now, because you have signed up for this program and you know what you want, I want you to literally take off your teacher hat, and I have another one. I am putting on my principal hat. From this day on, we're going to consider you practicing administrators. We're going to treat you like practicing administrators. The feedback that we give you, everything we do, we're going to remind you while you are a teacher, while you don't ever forget what teachers do, you're moving to the next level. So we will begin day one treating you and expecting you to act and move towards becoming an administrator. So I've got my principal's hat on now, and that's the language that we're going to talk from this point on. Let me just briefly let you know what tonight's going to look like. It's organized, but it's still going to be kind of all over the place, because I know in your minds that there are a million questions going on. I know that the butterflies are in your stomach, and if you could fly away, you probably would fly away, but we're not going to let you. Our goal tonight is to go through some things step by step, and we got to go fast but slow enough that you kind of know the pace of things and where you're going. So we're going to just show you stuff. We're going to ask you this. We want to entertain questions, but most of the questions tonight will be answered by Dr. Revis and me at some point. And if it isn't, at the end, I'm gonna take the screen away, and we're gonna come back and show you stuff. But at the end, we're gonna come back just like we are now. And Dr. Revis and I will stay online as long as we need to answer the questions that you may have at this point. But just know that we're here for the long haul with you. You've signed up for this. We want you to be successful, and we want, in 4 weeks, we want to see every one of you still on this screen and still working. Do not give up. When you feel like, I don't know what to do, I can't, you call us, and again, free of charge, we will talk you off the ledge, okay? Is that a deal? Okay, with that in mind, I'm going to exit the full screen. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to pull up the course overview. And if everybody would keep themselves muted except for Dr. Revis and me. Dr. Revis, when I'm speaking, Dr. Revis is going to look to see if there's a chat in there that we do need to address at that time, or if it's something that can wait. You know, she may say just wait until the end and we'll get it. And likewise, I'll do the same thing. Dr. Revis, let's begin though. Let's begin by just talking about what your roles and my roles will be in this semester with them. So would you like to share about CC1s and CC2s and then our roles as their instructors?
Sure. If you will find that graphic organizer, I thought Dr. Lamb did an outstanding job last night in the town hall talking about all the different people who will be working with you. But I'm a very visual person. Excuse me. So I created this little silly graphic organizer here, and it just shows you how all the different people up here are working together. Of course, you have a course instructor. Some of you, half of you at least, who are online tonight, have me as an instructor, and I'm the one, of course, who will evaluate your coursework. I have the final say on all of your assignments, etc. But I'm your instructor, and then I also will serve as clinical coach 2 for Dr. Stedman's class. So we switch off. Dr. Stedman serves as clinical coach 2 for my students, and I serve as clinical coach 2 for his students. So what we do is the clinical coach 2 is here to support you predominantly, if not almost exclusively, in those authentic evidences and big projects that you're going to have to do this semester. You have 2 of them. Now, what Dr. Stedman and I try to do is you always, if you're in our class, you submit your work to us first. And as a review, we always give you that opportunity to review. Nothing's final. We'll give you an opportunity to redo your work and raise that score. But if you submit a task that's really needs a lot of work, I refer you to Dr. Stedman for him to jump in there and help you refine and help you get that task up to a certain level. And I do the same thing for his students. So that's how we work as a clinical coach 2 in the program. You also will have, as Dr. Lamb said last night, a clinical coach 1. And those people will Zoom with you and your site supervisor, and that person's going to focus on your clinical internship hours. You have 80 internship hours that you must do each and every semester. Now, we don't mind answering questions about the internship because we serve as clinical coach 1s for other students in the program. But that person is really the one you would go to if you have any questions about getting your hours. And we're going to talk about some ideas for you to do if you're totally virtual right now.
And Dr. Revis, I am, for the C2 students, I am your instructor. I am the professor that will give you the grade. I could also be your clinical coach 1. Based on where you live geographically, you may be assigned to me. So I could be your clinical coach 1. Likewise, Dr. Revis could be your instructor. She could also be your clinical coach 1. And it has been on a rare occasion, I have been all 3. It doesn't happen a lot, but we could carry multiple roles with you as students. Okay, Dr. Revis.
And Dr. Stedman and I have done all of these roles. We have even been task stream evaluators. And remember last night, Dr. Lamb shared with you that in task stream that's where your repository, that's what's going to hold all of the big tasks and evidences that you're going to do. And you have a double-blind evaluator there. We have been evaluators. I don't evaluate right now, and that's just because I would never be allowed to evaluate anyone that I teach or coach typically. But we know the process because we've worked in all different areas of the program. And of course, the format is an online format. I really did like the way that Dr. Lamb said, this is not a correspondence course. You have to be very actively engaged in the course. And of course, we do all of our coursework in our Blackboard. And where you picked up this link for tonight's message, a video. You will also be using Zoom yourself. We're going to have you do breakout groups and Zoom teams. And you will, if you're a Zoom leader or master, then you're going to create you a YouTube channel to post your videos there so that those can be uploaded into your Blackboard shell. So a lot of different pieces in this program. But it's going to come together for you. Right now, the two big pieces you need to worry about would be getting your evidences and artifacts and all your coursework that has to be done. We will go in to task stream and all that stuff later on in the semester.
Right.
Did I forget anything, Dr. Stedman?
No, I think that's a good overview. I think they needed to understand, the roles of the clinical coaches and our role as instructors. But pretty much all of you, one way or the other, you're with Dr. Revis and me for the next 15 weeks. We are the ones that will be on an ongoing basis with you. Your CC1 will be with you more than likely just that one time. We will be with you for the entire semester. So I just wanted to share that with you. What I want to do at this time, when you go into Blackboard, this is what you will see. When you go into Blackboard and click on your shell, you'll see where it says course overview. And I would assume that most of you have handled or have looked at that already with the welcome, meet your instructor. Your syllabus is attached to that. You can click on that and the syllabus is there. These are the points that you should accumulate. Everybody should have at least 3,750 points at the end of the semester to get an A. And there is no reason, if you do what Dr. Revis and I guide you to do, there's no reason why everybody should not be at least at these points. And there's no reason for you not to almost have perfect scores at the end, the way we operate this program, if you will do what we ask you to do. So you can always keep up with the points. Just note at the bottom, you will find this information in lots of places, and it's by design. It's that way so that you can find your weekly class and Zooming and your coaching Zoom links can be found on this page. This is the recurring link that you will use every week to join Dr. Revis and me on Tuesday nights. When we have Thursday night sessions, and I'll show you where they are, those sessions, in just a moment, but this is the recurring link that you will join when we have coaching sessions on Thursday night. So this is what you would put in your URL. Click on that, and it'll allow you to enter into the Zoom session. This was the town hall that we had last night. Eventually, I'll take that out, but this is the link to it. You received it last night, but if you need to go back and hear something else or hear something that was said again, this is where you can go and find it. And then Dr. Revis is going to talk about these two links down here later on, but you will find what you will find on this page. It will be when you go to your course overview page, you will always find anything down here at the bottom that's going to be, it could be projected Zoom sessions down the road. So this is just an easy place to find what you need. Now what I want to do is for Dr. Revis and me to just go over basically what the course looks like. Now this is the course overview. This has nothing to do with you here. My grades. When you click on my grades, everything that you will be evaluated on, this is for you. When you click on my grades and it goes in there, these are all the assignments. And over here to the right, you'll see that something out of 100, something, this is where your scores will be. So this is where you can just click on that and you can basically see where you are. And if Dr. Revis and I send you a reminder that we don't have something, this is where you can go and find out to see, this will let you know whether you do or do not have a grade for something. So that's for your purposes. Attendance is for Dr. Revis and me. Now, we will show you in just a moment about your assignments. When assignments are due, and they will be due for whatever is due that week, will be due that Sunday night by 9 o'clock. All assignments should be in for that week. And unless you have communicated with us and there are extenuating circumstances, we expect them to be there simply because we have a timeline that we have to get things graded and back to you. We don't sit around and let your work stay in the coffers. We give you immediate feedback as much as possible, and we have to give feedback that Sunday night, that Monday morning, in order for you to be able to effectively begin your work for the next week on Tuesday when we introduce things. So you will have, without extenuating circumstances, you will always have by Monday night, no later than early Tuesday morning, all of your assignments will be graded. If for some reason you do not turn important assignments in and we have not heard from you, we are required by Gardner-Webb University to take attendance on Monday morning. And if your assignments have not been submitted in, we have to count you absent for that week. Please do not let that be the case. We do not like to have to do that, do we, Dr. Revis?
No.
So please don't let that happen to you, and don't make us have to do anything like that. Support services. This is going to list all of the support services that Gardner-Webb provides, your technical support, your academic support, and you just need to become familiar with all of this, the media support, library support, and we're going to talk about that more today, and then we're going to have a special presentation on that next week where you will find out more about what your library offers you. Let's say, for instance, with technical support, let's say that you're having a problem with your email, or there's a problem with Blackboard. You can contact Dr. Revis and me, but all we can tell you is you're going to have to contact technical support. You will click here, you will send them a message, and they will communicate back with you. Now, if you send them a message and you don't get any response back, you do let Dr. Revis and me know, and that's when we will intervene then, and we will go through Dr. Lamb or whomever we have to make sure that you are, you're back on track with whatever you need. But this is for your use, and you need to become familiar with all of those resources that are available to you.
And Dr. Stedman, let's reiterate, you must check your email each and every day from Gardner-Webb. We will not use your school email address to communicate with you or a personal email address. You have to check your Gardner-Webb email address. And there's a way, and it tells you when you first do launch into Gardner-Webb, it tells you how to connect your Gardner-Webb to your personal email. Whatever you need to do, but you've got to check it every day, guys.
And I would suggest that you check it multiple times, because you never know when information is going to be coming to you. Okay, because that's how we're going to communicate with you through Gardner-Webb email. Okay. Next is your MELS handbooks. And this is important information. I would suggest, now this is me, this is the old school coming out in me, Dr. Revis. I would download that and I'd have it in a notebook with me somewhere so that I would have my hard copy that I could refer to when I needed to, when I'm working on things. You can look at stuff. That's left up to you. But I would recommend that you download the things that you know that you're going to need to refer back to over and over again. But this is your scale handbook. This covers everything about the entire MELS program for the next 3 semesters for you. You need to know what it says. You need to know from beginning to end what this handbook, how it applies to you. This is your site mentor handbook, and your CC1 will be referring to that with you again, but this is just another place where you can find it, and this is information that you will give to your principal or whomever is supervising you. Your clinical internship handbook. All of these you need to understand, but the person that's working with you needs to understand that as well. These are all resources that when we introduce the competency folio that goes into task stream that Dr. Lamb mentioned, when that time comes, and that'll be in the next couple of weeks that Dr. Lamb will introduce you to that. This is a place where you go and you find information that will help you with what he's talking about. He'll talk about open-ended competencies. The competency folio artifact proofs, he's going to refer to these documents. You have those documents that he's going to be referring to. This is a student, it's almost a perfect competency folio that he will refer to, but this is where you can click on this and it will show you what an accomplished student did with their competency folio that you will be working on. As Dr. Revis said, you will be banking this information over the next 3 semesters. It's like doing something and putting money in the bank. And this is Dr. Revis's graphic organizer that we showed you earlier. Let's go back out of this and okay, next. Everybody ought to be able to train the Zoom people how to do Zoom, because you probably over the last 10 months have been blessed with Zoom and everything else. But if you have any problems and you don't understand Zoom, this is a Zoom tutorial. You can go in there and it'll show you what to do. And it'll also, you can set up your own free Zoom account if you don't have it. That will give you limited time that you can work with your Zoom teams that you'll be working with this semester. But this is the main thing that I want to show you. When you click on Zoom Teams, and Dr. Revis's group, when you go into, you will see the same thing with your names there. These, for my class, my C2 class, these are the Zoom teams. These are the people that you have been assigned to work with, and there was no rhyme or reason who ended up with whom. I just went down the list and just said, these go with it. And so, because I don't know any of you. So that's how you were assigned. But these are the people that you will work with this semester. And for the most part, you will be teamed with this same group of people for the next 3 semesters. So you will learn to work with each other and you will become best friends. Many of the people that once the Zoom teams, they're friends for life. And I still get communication from students, and they'll tell me about, before COVID, they would actually, people they would meet and go on mini vacations together where they had become friends, Dr. Revis. But these are the people that you'll work with. You'll understand the importance of this more after we get into peer reviews and your case studies and things of that nature. But these are the people that you will work with. Now, with that being said, Dr. Revis, if you would talk to them about the first assignment, some of them have already done it, but the first assignment that they must do, and this is where you will find it.
Right. What we would like for you to do is to upload your contact information. And again, we're using Gardner Web emails, but emails and phone numbers, if you're okay with that, so that others in your Zoom team can get in touch with you. That would be ideal. And just a brief sentence or two, where you work and what do you teach, or if you're not a teacher, then what do you do in the school or school district, and anything else you would like to know, just to get to know everybody. Going back to the Zoom teams, I know Dr. Stedman, I did my Zoom teams just alphabetical down my class roster, but I've had 3 students drop as of this morning. So we will have to go back and adjust a little bit and take out anybody that's dropped. Doesn't mean we're going to tear all the teams up, but if, we only have 2 members in a team after drop add, then I may have to switch some people. But this is where we'll start. This is a good starting point. But I know that you would like to know, I hope you would, other classmates and people who you are going to be interacting with both in our virtual environment.
And I'm glad you said that. I don't like to put people on the spot. Antoine Pittman, are you here? If you're here, just speak up. Antoine is one that I have not seen any activity from yet. So I don't know if Antoine's going to be with us, which would mean that team 3 is down to 3 people. But then if you look at team 1, I've got 5 people. Because you don't know each other, and I will make that decision this week, I will very likely have to move. If Antoine doesn't show up, I will very likely have to move one of team 1 down to team 3 so that I can balance the teams. And we have to do that early on before you get to really know each other and to become acquainted. So just know that we may have to do some adjustments over the next 2 or 3 days, but we go ahead and get it done so that that it is not a problem, that you become acquainted with people, familiar with working with people, and then we have to do it. We try to do it up front. So thank you for sharing. And this is where, for those that have not done it, you just click on where it says upload your contact information. And it opens up, create a thread. You put your information in there, and then you submit. It will go to discussion board. And once it goes to discussion board, it gives your peers an opportunity to look at it and make comment, but it gives Dr. Revis and me an opportunity to know that you are in the system, that you understand how to manipulate this part of things. And you'll get 1 out of 1. And that's just to let you know that we know that you're in there, and that you're on the right track with things. So that 1 out of 1 is just for us to understand that you've made the contact. So for those that have not done that, please go ahead and take care of that immediately. Many of you have already taken care of that. The next thing that we want to point out, this is where you'll find your course syllabus. If you click on that, there's your course syllabus. This is your MELS, your weekly class schedule. Now that you'll find this, and you'll find this in more than one place, but this is where you'll find your weekly class schedule. And okay, it's slow. Okay, here we are. There we are. Okay, and week by week, we're in week 1. And what it does, and I'm going to minimize this right now, hide that. What this does, it shows you week 1, the topic, and these could vary a little bit, but for the most part, these are the topics that's going to be covered. These are the resources that you are required to read, and things where you can find relevant materials that will help you with the projects and the tasks that you'll be working on. This is where your textbook reading will come in place. And Dr. Revis, if you'll be prepared to talk about the textbooks and their requirements there. And these are going to be your assignments. Always your assignments are going to be listed in, to the right for that week. So this is for week 1, January the 11th through the 17th, and the 17th being on Sunday. This is simply what you are going to be required to do. Become knowledgeable of the professional learning community process. These are links that you can follow that will help you with that understanding of that process. Refer to the materials section in Blackboard for additional PLC information. Anything you see in red is where we are beginning evidence 1 that we're going to talk about in just a few minutes. And then this is where you can go in and set up your free Zoom account. And always listed at the bottom is going to say assignments due to Blackboard no later than 9:00 p.m. on whatever that Sunday night is. Now I want you to notice it says Absol Task 1 draft due week 2. Students get, they don't see that sometime, and they don't see the week 2. That is so that you know that already next week, we're going to talk about it tonight, we're going to talk about it Thursday night, we're going to talk about it next Tuesday night, but then that next Sunday, not this Sunday, but next Sunday, then that's when the evidence work will be due, and you'll be ready for it by then. But please know that we go ahead and prepare you ahead of time and let you know that that's coming. And you will see this for the whole 15 weeks that you'll be with us.
And while Dr. Stedman is pulling up the next thing, let me just say that there's a process that you're going to learn that we use, a routine, if you will, on your assignments. If you notice, it said Absol Task 1 draft due Sunday night of week 2. You always turn in a draft first, and then you have a week to make revisions. And you also are going to be providing feedback to at least 2 of your peers. So there's some time for you to be in a revision stage before you have to turn in your final draft. But you will notice pretty quickly there's a routine, there's a rhythm to how assignments are due every week, and you just have to get yourself into that. The first thing you do, make sure you turn in on Sunday night, and Monday the first thing you need to start doing is reviewing 2 of your peers' work in your Zoom teams. But you'll see that as we go through.
Right. And then the next thing is your weekly Zoom schedule. And the weekly class schedule tells you Dr. Revis, talk to them about their responsibility for their textbook assignments, the reading.
Oh, right. Well, guys, since we really compact this course, I'll just be very honest with you. You have to do those readings on your own, and we may or may not talk about them. Typically, we don't have time to talk about them, but they're there for you to read, and you will incorporate and reference those readings into your task and your writing and your narratives. So, don't think that we don't think it's important. It is important, but we expect you at the graduate level to be able to read and to incorporate some of the material into your writing assignments.
Right. But that's important, because we do have students sometimes that think, well, we read this and you don't go over it. We're not going to go over it per se, but that doesn't mean that you're not responsible for it, and it doesn't mean that we shouldn't see the evidence of what you're doing in the assignments that you're doing, as you are doing referencing in your bibliographies and your research. Then these are vital resources to use and sources to use. This is your weekly Zoom schedule, and I want you to notice the week. Now, week 1 is full. You've already done the town hall. You're with us right now. And then we're coming together again on Thursday night for a coaching session. I want you to notice week 2 is 2 nights. Week 3 is 2 nights. And week 4 is 2 nights. But then when you get to week 5, look where we are. It's just our Tuesday night class. Tuesday night class. Tuesday night class for 3 weeks. Then we pick back up week 8 because we will have finished evidence 1. And we pick back up with the next evidence, and you see there's 3 nights again, 1 week. Then we give you a break. We give you a break. It doesn't mean that you don't work that week. It just means that you don't come online with us that week. And it gives you a chance to get started on some things and catch up with some things. Then if you notice, after that, we come back, Tuesday night class and a Thursday night class. But you notice there's a lot of up front. But do you see here, we're beginning to wean you. We're beginning to cut the apron strings, and we're beginning to let you become more independent, and we're there for you. Dr. Revis and I will meet with you. And if we see that we need to do something on a Thursday night, we can call it. We can say, okay, guys, we're going to be on board on Thursday night. If you are having problems, Dr. Revis and I have worked with one student together. We've worked with 2 or 3 students together. Whatever we need to do, we'll work it out with you if you're having issues, or if there's something that you don't understand. We'll do a private Zoom with you if we need to. But then this is the schedule that you will follow over the course of the next 15 weeks as we are as we're going week by week. Want to point out, and there's some things we're just going to show you that they're there. We won't have time to go over them. Next week, we will begin talking about the peer review materials and the peer review process. You're not ready for that yet, but you need to click on that, and you need to have, some understanding when Dr. Revis and I talk about that next week. But Dr. Revis, they don't have anything due for 3 weeks with that, so we will introduce that next week. Case study materials. You will do 2 case studies this semester. You're not ready for that yet. One of them, the first one, case study, is after you have completed the work with the APSL, your first evidence, and it's all, and it's related to the work that you will have done with the APSL. And the second one will be with the APTEL, the second evidence, and we'll talk about those closer to the time that it's time to do your case studies, and you will be actually doing independent work and working with your Zoom teams. This is a video library. Now, in this video library, you will find, and we can constantly add things here if we need to. This is where, when Dr. Lamb introduces how to set up your competency folio, this is where you will go and find the video that he's talking about. We will have a session on EVOS, and some of you may not even know what that is yet, even though it's used in your schools. This is an archive video, but Dr. Lamb and some of the staff will be giving you some current and relevant information on EVOS. This is a competency folio example. It's not a video, but I stuck it there because it coincides with what Dr. Lamb will be introducing here. This is an archived town hall video link that is very, very good. You can go back. It doesn't matter that it's not for this semester. It's the same information if you need to go back and look at something. And this is, Dr. Hamilton is in another section. She created this. This is just a helpful tool that you might be able to use as well. But just know that this is a storage area that we will place things that we need to place, and we will tell you that you can find it in the video library section, and this is where you would go. This is a section on the APA format and materials. We're not going to talk about that tonight, but you need to be familiar with that. This will be discussed more when Dr. Bishop comes online next Tuesday, right? Dr. Revis, Dr. Revis is going to tell you those times. But go ahead and talk about that now, Dr. Revis, since we're there.
Okay. Well, guys, as was mentioned last night in your town hall meeting, this course has a lot of writing. And Of course, we expect you to be writing at the graduate level, but I mean, if you need support in writing, we have some support resources, but you have to be able to write and document and cite and reference your materials and your work in APA 7th edition. So Dr. Natalie Bishop will be online on Tuesday and Thursday evenings at 6 o'clock before our classes and our coaching session. And she will go over APA Style Guide 7. And, I just will just encourage you to be there, and you only have to do one session.
There you are.
One. Yeah. You choose which session you want to go to, but guys, go to at least one of those sessions.
There you are right there. And
note,
Dr. Revis, to get into her sessions, there is a passcode. So please make sure that you are aware of that passcode that's there with the link.
Now, in your writing, we're going to be a little tough on APA. We don't go overboard, but you have to be able to do a reference page, and you have to be able to do narrative citations or parenthetical citations. You've got to be able to do that. So, we'll correct you as far as saying, look back over your APA for in-text citations, or your references are formatted incorrectly. Now, but we're not going to go back through and give you the details of APA. That's what you've got to learn. And you can learn it. It's just, it's very detailed oriented, but you'll get the hang of it. That's why it's very, very important that you attend one of those sessions with Dr. Bishop next week.
Okay, thank you. Got my phone running out of time. This is where we are now with the APSL task and prompts. These sections are you're going to refer to these sections probably more than any other section that you work with. But when we click on that, the APSL, and you heard Dr. Lamb mention that last night, the APSL is the first of 6 evidences that you will be doing. And the APSL stands for an analysis and action plan for student learning. We're going to begin with the student. That's what our jobs are all about anyway. It's the student. So we're going to begin with our most important commodity. That is the student and student learning. Now, when you click in these sections, this tells you exactly, if you go in here and you read it carefully, this shares with you exactly everything that you need to know about, let me minimize that again, about the APSL. It introduces it. It talks about, there's 5 tasks to the APSL. It tells you what task 1 looks like, the professional learning community, that Dr. Revis is going to share some information on. Task 2, your academic needs assessment. In fact, Dr. Revis, while we're here, let's just go ahead and combine. Talk to them about let's look at task 1 first of all. Task 1 is going to be where you're going to be doing. This is where you're going to be doing PLC research. Now, PLC is a professional learning community, and most of you are engaged in those in your schools, or they may be called something differently, but most of you are engaged in professional learning communities in your schools. You're going to be responsible for not working with an existing PLC, but you're going to start a new PLC at your school. But in task 1, you will be doing research on what is a PLC, what does a PLC look like. You're going to be selecting people that you want to be on your team that will work with your professional learning community. 3 to 5 people that you know that will bring expertise and will collaboratively work with you and will become a part of what you are engaging in this semester. And then you will be meeting with those people on a regular basis as you begin to work with and work towards identifying whatever the student needs are or the problem is in your school. But task one is simply PLC research on what a PLC is, your PLC selection, and a meeting. And we're going to talk about that a little more in detail, but that is what task one looks like. Dr. Revis, would you tell them what task two will consist of?
Okay, so this whole PLC is going to be focused on looking and examining student performance data. Now, you have to get permission from your principal to do a PLC, of course. You would never just strike out on your own and ask a group of teachers to join you without getting permission. But be sure you make it clear when you talk to your administrator that you have to focus on academic student performance. Now, it's very hard to get anybody to focus on that right now because we've been in a pandemic for 10 months now. And what we want to focus on is how to keep students engaged in an online environment, or some of those kinds of things. While we know student engagement is directly related to student success, this particular authentic evidence is about looking and examining your student performance data. And the last state performance data that you had was in, I guess, 2019, right?
Right.
Yeah. Unless you are doing interim assessments, either state interim assessments or district level interim assessments. You're going to get the most recent data, and that's what you're going to examine. So task two is about deciding what data you're going to review, what data is out there that's available for you to review, and you are going to be deciding how are we going to decide what our most pressing need is. Now, I guarantee you, when you start talking to your principal about student performance data, they're already going to know where your school has the most room for growth and improvement. So that, but don't take their word for it. Your task is about you diving into that data and looking at it, and you leading a group, your PLC, into coming up with your most pressing need. And so this is all about examining data and deciding how you're going to come up with your most pressing need.
And I know that many of you are saying, you know, we haven't tested it. It goes back to what Dr. Rivers said. You use your most recent data, whatever the most recent data that's out there, that is what you will have to use when you do this data dig. Okay? And then, and we will be coming back. And then once you identify what that most pressing problem is, in task three, this is where you do it's a mini research section, and you actually do research on ways to attack that problem that you've identified in task two, ways that you can correct the problem in your school. What does the research have to say out there about whatever your identified need is? If it's school-wide literacy, what does the research say about, you know, assisting school-wide literacy in a K3 program at your school? But this is research, and we'll introduce this. You'll do an annotated bibliography as well with that. And again, we're rushing through this, but we just wanted to give you the highlights of things, and we're going to talk about this more in detail on Thursday night as well. Dr. Revis, if you'll talk about task for the action plan. Okay, you there?
I'm sorry, I had muted myself. I thought I was going
to task for the action plan.
What you're going to do in task four is you're going to develop an action plan, and you've identified a need, you've researched possible solutions, and now you're going to sit down with your team and develop an action plan. Now, guys, even though these tasks are authentic and we hope that they become useful to your school may not use a thing you want to put in place, and that's okay. what we want you to understand is there's a process. There's a process of convening a group of educators and looking and examining data, being able to identify your needs, looking at the research, and putting together an action plan.
Okay, and then the fifth task, there are 21 competencies that you will be addressing every semester. You will address 12 of them when you complete the APSL, and you will complete the other 9 when you do the APTEL, and we will talk about that later on, but just know that each semester you will address these 21 competencies 3 different times each semester as you are working on your competency work, your evidence work. And then we're not going to have time to get into these areas, but what I do want you to see is, let me get you back up there. You will see over here, these, I do want to point this out. This is an APSL template. The APSL template is the actual, it's like a roadmap, it's a map. And as you are completing those 5 evidences that are the 5 tasks of the APSL that we just spoke about, this is the instrument that you will use, and it will guide you. And as you look at it, it simply tells you on page 1, the only thing you change is your name. You put your name here, and the rest of it stays the same. I want you to look at this information right here. Anytime on the template you see something that's highlighted in yellow, that means you're going to write something. You're going to do a narrative there. If you see something that is in red, that means that is information, a reminder, it's helpful stuff that you're going to look at, and when you do your narrative work, you're going to take all that red stuff out. And then anything you see in black, like task 1 description or whatever, all text in black always stays. And we'll talk about, Dr. Revis, would you like to talk about the school profile?
Right. One of the things you can be doing this week is gathering information about your school. Now, there are some places you can go and extract that information on your school report cards. It has all kinds of information about your school, the membership of your school, the membership of your staff, and tells about advanced degrees. A lot of this information can come from your school report card. Another place that you can get this information is on your accreditation information. You can go to your principal and ask for that. But you're going to build a school profile, and you need to build a good school profile because you're going to use this over and over throughout your 6 evidences. So build a good school profile that talks about your school, what it looks like, and the composition of the teachers, of the students. And you'll also talk a little bit about some student performance data. We were an A school, but did not show growth, and those kinds of things. So you need to try to design you a really good school profile, and you can start gathering that information this week.
Right, and that is information. And actually, all you're doing on the school profile, you're telling a story about your school. What is the story of my school? No more than a page, 2 pages, you know. Usually a good page will cover that, but no more than 2 pages. That tells the story of what a lot of your schools has a rich history. If it's an older school, it has a rich history. That's interesting information sometime to include in your school profile. And then, you know, we move into to task 1 that we're actually, we're going to talk about that again, so that for those of you that you need to get started on this. Remember, we said that if it's in yellow, highlighted in yellow, that means you're going to write something. If it's in black, those are instructions and they stay. And if it's in red, those are helpful hints that you do what it says to do, but then you take it out and you include the narrative information. Let's look at prompt number 1. The candidate, who is you, with the approval of the school leadership, will research the tenets and functions of a professional learning community while assuming a leadership role in developing and organizing a professional, a PLC. The supported narrative must completely and thoroughly address the following. This is your first task. Other than doing your school profile, this is your first task. Once you get permission, you're going to get permission. You're going to meet with your administrator and you're going to say, I am tasked with doing a PLC. Do I have your permission? You're going to actually put that in writing through an email, asking permission, even though you probably are going to talk with them. You need to get an affirmative response back. They become artifacts that you will use. You will use those artifacts. That's proof that you have permission to do what needs to be done. Then the PLC research. This is your heading right here. Your heading's going to be PLC research, written just like it is right there, taking the yellow highlighting out. And then this is what it tells you to do. The PLC research must include a minimum of 3 sources and be written in APA format. The research should conclude with a complete description of the candidate's PLC design. One of your 3 sources should be a Richard DeFore reference. And you know Richard DeFore is the guru with PLCs. There's a lot of other good stuff out there and good people, more relevant people, but he's actually the one that it all started with on setting up and leading PLCs. So what you're going to do here, you're just going to, what does a PLC look like? What is a PLC? What does a good PLC look like? What are the tenets of a good PLC? That's what you're going to do there, and you must have a minimum of 3 references cited in there, and you must include APA 7th edition as you are citing your references. Dr. Revis, anything you want to say about the PLC research? You're muted.
Well, in weeks 1 and 2, and we'll go over this more in depth in week 2 next Tuesday. But typically, what I want you to understand is, we use that term PLC very, very loosely. Every time we have a group of teachers come together or a group of educators come together, we call it a PLC. Well, we use Rick DeFore's definition of PLC, and that is, it's a group of educators coming together to focus on learning for all students.
Right.
And we'll go through more in depth what that means. But right now, what we want you to do is be able to think about how to set up a PLC and what data is available you want to look at.
And then you need to go ahead and begin looking at PLC select. Who do you want to be on your team? And as you look at who's on your team, what are the strengths of those team members? What is their educational background? What do they do? Why did you choose them to be on your team? And then you will actually meet with them. And when you meet with them, when you do meet with them, and we're not saying all this has to be done this week, we're just getting you started. When you do meet with them, you're just going to set up the norms, the vision, and the purpose of your PLC, why you have them together, what the plans are to do, and you set up the standards of what you're going to be doing, for the rest of this semester as you are completing the work that you're doing with the APSL and with the APTEL. Dr. Revis, I think that as I'm going out, bring us, because I think that we probably have got them at a place that they're probably feeling overwhelmed right now. So what I want to do, I want to stop sharing, because we can always come back to this. And I know it's after 8 o'clock, but we want to address any questions that you may have at this time. All we did was just give you as brief an overview as we can And we told you that over the next 3 or 4 weeks, it's going to seem overwhelming many, many times. And you're going to say, many times, some of you are saying already, I can't do this. Yes, you can do this. We will eat that elephant one bite at a time. We gave you a lot tonight. We're not expecting you to understand all this at one time, but it's enough that as you go back and you begin looking at it and breaking it down, you will have hopefully enough understanding that you can begin analyzing, what it is I've got to do, putting your schedule in place, what you've got to do. Plus, it gives you an opportunity to write quick. You can call Dr. Revis and me. You can text Dr. Revis and me. You can email Dr. Revis and me. As those things come up, but generate questions of things that are questions in your mind, and then when we come back again on Thursday night, some of those questions may be answered by the time we come back together on Thursday night. Right now, anybody, you can unmute yourselves and we can talk, whatever you want to talk. Anybody can stay as long as you want us to.
Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Masaru Harris. I'm currently an assistant principal at Triad Math and Science Academy. We already have PLCs established, so would I just use the format that's already in place and use the information that we already use? We've been forming PLCs since the beginning of the school year.
The requirement is that you must, because it's the middle of the year, you must start something new that you are leading. Now, if you've been leading the PLC all year long, it's something that you can talk with Dr. Revis and me about, and we can. But if it's not something that you must, the whole premise of this is that you are the leader, that you are leading in the PLC, development of the PLC, and have a full understanding of it, not something that somebody else is doing. So
right.
if it's something that you are personally leading and a part of, then we can work with you with that, and we would have to decide about what we're going to do to take it to the next level, not just, but it's something that we can have that conversation with you.
And also, when trying to access the information about the first assignment, is saying that it's I don't have access to it. So is that supposed to?
Yeah, I also had Courtney say the same thing. I'll go back. It could be something on my end when the course was copied over. So let me go back and I'll check that, guys. Is it only in, Courtney said it's the Absol task and prompts. Is there any other thing that you cannot open?
And Dr. Revis, we'll talk after they leave. I'll show you what you need to do.
Okay. All right.
I know what's wrong.
Okay, great.
And we'll have you straight before this evening's over with. The same thing happened to me one time. That's a good question, though, Dean. Other questions?
I have a question. This is Angela Griffith.
Hey, Angela.
So I'm wondering, you were talking about the PLCs and the focus on student performance data. I'm wondering if that should only be, are we just looking at academics, or can it be from another perspective when we look at student data? I'm thinking more behavioral data.
We cannot do behavior. We have to focus on academics in this program. Now, behavior can be looked at in other evidences that we'll be working on in other semesters, but our purpose is it has to be something that can be measured by a test.
Okay.
And let me follow up by saying, I promise you, and if I'm wrong, I'll apologize now, but I promise you, when you gather together a group of educators, one of the first things they're going to want to talk about is student behavior, student attendance, and right now, student disengagement.
Mm-hmm.
Always want to go there. Part of your leadership is pulling them away from there, acknowledging those things all exist. But we're here to talk about student performance, student learning data, your student achievement data, and that you're gonna have opportunities later on in the program to look at those other things. But you know, you're just gonna have to kindly and gently pull them away from those topics.
They might get mad with you, not mad with you. They may not like it, Angela. But remember the hat that I told you to put on at the beginning of the class tonight. You got your principal's hat on now.
Right. Well, they always talk about behaviors. I'm not at a school. I'm central office, so I'm
Okay.
the behavior coordinator
Okay,
for the
gotcha,
county.
okay.
And so where I'm going to do my internship is actually at an alternative school.
Okay.
So I know that that's going to be
It's
their
gonna be a
focus.
challenge.
Okay,
But we've
Angela's
had
coming.
alternative schools before, and they were able to successfully work through the academics of it. So I feel confident that you need to, and if you need to talk with Dr. Revis and me, we'll talk with you about it, okay?
Yeah, and I would just say this, guys, before you start getting too far down the pathway about what you're going to look at, data you're going to look at, please email us. And if you have any questions about whether this is going to be in the right venue, please email us before you get too far down the road.
Most of you, within 2 weeks, you will be driving the boat yourself in about 2 weeks. You don't see that now, but I promise you, Dr. Revis promised, in about 2 weeks, you'll be driving the boat, and it'll be, for the most part, it'll be smooth sailing for you.
We have a question in the chat box. Is there a page requirement for each task? For example, I know we have 3 references for task 1, but do we have a page requirement? No, there's no page requirement. There is an example in that last link that where your APSL tasks and prompts are. There is an example. Now, we're not saying this is an exemplar, but it is an example to give you an idea. You're all, when you do all 5 tasks, you're going to have 60 plus pages.
Okay.
So, yeah, where the APSL template is.
Okay,
There,
I meant to show that the template and materials, yes.
yeah.
Okay, here, now this is, guys, this is lots of good stuff. This is your template, and I meant to say, and that's the AppTel. I'm sorry. Let me go to the app. So I'm trying to go in too fast. Here it is.
We do give you an example for the APSL, and then we start pulling away those examples. So look at it again. We're not saying this is an exemplar, but this at least met a score of 3 for an evaluator.
Right. Dr. Revis, I know we've run over, and we don't normally run over past 8 o'clock, but I think it's important. We've shown you the template. This is what you will follow. Everybody will follow this template. Now, I want you to look at this next document. You need to run these things off. This is the APSL Helpful Hints document. What we have done is we have actually taken the template, and we have laid it out in layman's terms as simply as possible, telling you step by step what you need to do with that template. You take this and you align it with your template. We've already talked about that first page, your name here. Dr. Revis has talked about the school profile. This talks about when you get to task 1, prompt 1, this tells you, this explains to you in more layman's terms what you have to do with each of those tasks all the way to the very end. So you will hear us talk a lot about your helpful hints document as well. Then,
and if I could just butt in here, Dr. Stedman, guys, helpful hints, we even tell you the section titles. Now, some people love that. Some people think we're being too restrictive. I promise you, if you will follow this helpful hints document and use the titles and the subheadings, you're going to be fine. And it does help facilitate your evaluator, as they look at it in task stream, they expect to see certain things. And if you go out on your own and start doing your own thing, it's not going to be a pretty end for you. So, you know, just, I don't want to say we're spoon feeding you, but you've got to kind of get in a rhythm of what we're expecting and what the evaluator is going to expect. So,
And we are spoon feeding you a little bit to begin with.
yeah, we are.
And that's okay.
Yeah, we are.
Now this is what Dr. Revis was referring to. This is an example of a completed student APSL. We named them Jane Doe. Now, as she said, is this the best piece of work? No, but it's passing work. It's at least standard work. It's proficient anyway. It's set up. It's showing you exactly what the heading should look like. It's giving you some examples of what the narrative work should look like. So we don't give you this anymore after this semester. This is a good example to follow as you looking at it, and at least it gives you a guide to go by as you are completing your work with with evidence one. So I would say again, I would probably, if I were you, I would copy this off, and I would have it, at my side when I was completing my work. On Thursday, we are going to pick up, and we will be joining the other classes as well. We're all going to take little pieces of information that you need to know to get started with. And one of the things that I'm going to do on Thursday is I'm going to specifically tell you what you've got to do to get started with task one of the APSL. That will be my part of what we do on Thursday. Specifically, I will tell you, you need to do this, 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 and this to be able to get started. Dr. Revis, all of us has, like I said, all of us has responsibilities on Thursday, and I've had it right here with me. Anyway, here it is. And I'll go ahead and tell you, we're going to, you'll hear some of the same stuff over again, but one of the things we're going to specifically talk about is being able to get started with your task one so that you'll know how to get started. So after you think about tonight, after you come on board Thursday, I think you'll be well on your way to being able to move forward. And again, between now and Thursday, if you have a question, reach out to Dr. Revis and me. You have our email numbers. My phone number is listed, but it's 910-633-4816. You can call me.
And my phone number is listed in the course syllabus. Guys, the things I want you to really focus on between now and Thursday, be sure you complete your enrollment verification activity and respond to that contact information, because that gets you 1 point. Just be reading anything you can read about the PLCs. There are some links in week 1. Be reading those things. Communicate, go ahead and communicate with your principal about the requirement. And don't be shocked or surprised if the principal doesn't butt in and start telling you what PLC he or she wants you to do. Just please keep coming back to them and talking with them about it has to be around student academic performance. But we'll work through any bumps in the road. If they won't budge on some things, we'll work through them. But go ahead and talk to them about the requirements of the PLC and be thinking about who you want to serve on a PLC.
Right. And I'm going to close with this, Dr. Revis. If any of you, after I mean, you're with us this long. You didn't click off on us, so I hope that's a good sign. If any of you get anxious and you think, I can't do this, or I can't do, before you make a rash decision, please reach out to Dr. Revis and me and talk to us first. Promise me that you'll at least talk to us before you would make a decision to go in another direction.
And we understand that if you're a classroom teacher, we are really pushing you out of your comfort zone. Some of you are district administrators, some of you are already school administrators. You understand what we're doing. But we understand that if you're a classroom teacher, this is really pushing you out of your comfort zone. But we're there to support you and help you make that transition.
Okay, and before I sign out, are there any more questions at this point? Thank you for being with us. And I'm looking to see every one of you Thursday night and back here next Tuesday. Don't you quit on me. I mean, don't you quit on me.
All right, have a good evening.
I'm looking forward to working with you this semester. You're going to do fine, I promise you.
You are.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night, and I will record this and I'll get it to you later on in your core shells, okay?
Okay, Dr. Stedman, once you get to a place, I got to run to the restroom. Can I just call you here in just a minute and you can tell me what I need to do on my core shell?
Sure will. Okay.
All right, thanks.
Okay. Good night, everybody.